Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Toffees here on the 21st of August. It's going to be a great day and I'm glad that you chose to start it out with me. So without further ado, it's just going to be me today giving you a fast dose of the Dota 2, the real world, and gaming news that you need for your day. Without further ado, we will get up and running right out of the gate. First thing to talk about is the show, man. We've had some great hits. We've grown a lot over the last couple of weeks, so we're going to keep it rolling. You can find us on twitch.tv/Toffees_Dota2, on Twitter @Toffees_Dota2, and then on YouTube, as well as on SoundCloud, where we're working on an RS feed for the show right now, and that's soundcloud.com/Toffees_Dota2. So all the Coffees with Toffees goodness that you need, available whenever you need it, first thing in the morning. It's Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So there's your update. Let's talk a little bit about the pro scene and changes that have come down the pipeline over the last couple of days. Not a ton of changes, but the ones that have come down are pretty big. So let's jump right into them. First, one of the biggest ones, I think, in my understanding, is that the captain of VG, Roddick, has officially decided to retire alongside of Burning, the man, the myth, the legend of DK. So these two titans of SWAT in the Asian Dota scene are leaving together. And why do you ask, are they leaving together? Because they're not leaving Dota. They're just both becoming casters, and not only casters, but casters on the same team. So anyone who has said we need a better casting team in the Asian divisions is probably going to do quite well with the brand new team of Roddick and Burning. I don't think that they can do better than that as far as famous casting duos coming out of the pro scene can be. So they should be pretty big. Excited to see them sticking around in the sport. That's pretty great. Other rumor that came about yesterday. So if you don't know, you can go over to Join Dota right now, where Emil Davi, a actual fan of the show who's often here, designed our graphics, etc. She is writing for Join, or she wrote for Join Dota, an article about a Arteezy and AUI 2000 fan meet. And at that, she kind of gave what happened, synopsis of the notes, and things that were said. And one of the most interesting comments to me was the comment, Arteezy said it, and he said, Fear might be playing as either carry or support, implying that Fear will officially be returning to EG not as a coach, but as a player. And that's a pretty big deal for me, because a lot of us out there, in fact, myself, are just absolutely love the idea of Fear coming back to game. He is a legend in the sports. He is a legend among players, and he is sort of hope for the old, I suppose you could say. Also, his desk that he learned to play on was probably one of the most epic things I've ever seen, and that was probably my favorite part of the documentary that Valve did about Dota. So he rumored to be coming back. If you haven't read that article, it is over on Join Dota. It's massive right now. It's a really great read. A lot of good stuff on there. Some pretty interesting comments, like Arteezy has never played Smash Brothers. Seems to be stirring up quite a bit of information, as well as who they think's OP. Arteezy said Lycan is OP. AUI 2000 said that he believed that Doom is OP. So two people that both are great respected players, and who they think is a little bit heavy on the scene right now. So pretty interesting article. Go check it out. It's on Join Dota all day long. Next thing up is Denial Esports signs Terra Firma. So you guys may remember a couple days ago we talked about this. Terra Firma is the French organization started by fucking Mad and Sakshka. Sorry, it's early in the morning. And the two of them started a French squad, which I thought, and we talked about this last week, is great, because France is a region that is not represented all that well in terms of pro play, if at all really, other than a few specific players. They're not people that you see as often inside of the matches that we mingle with the European servers. So the idea of a pro team coming directly from France, I think, is going to expand the player base much in the same way that Revenge expanded South American player bases. No, Earth Spirit brings in a very specific group, so on and so forth. So that's great news. Denial has signed them, but from what I understand, and we haven't gotten the firm details yet, Denial is allowing them to call themselves Terra Firma. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Sponsors usually want names, but at the end of the day, they are signed, and they're going to be playing in the Beat It playoffs. We play Season 3, a couple of other tournaments already signed under the Denial banner, but perhaps still calling themselves Terra Firma. So, like I said, we'll see how that shapes up. Other news, I-League qualifiers Europe have finished, and it's PR, the Power Rangers, and Virtuous Pro that qualify, and I'm happy about that for a couple of reasons. First, I think that Power Rangers is a great team that doesn't get nearly enough love coming out of that Eastern European scene. They are phenomenal at what they do. They have aggressive rotations, great style of play, and I'm glad to see them make that qualifier alongside of Virtuous Pro, a team, VP, honestly, I haven't seen them step up and really smack heads since Starladder 7, I feel like, and I'm glad to see them coming out of this and going to the I-League, so that's pretty cool for me. Also, I-League Southeast Asia qualifiers is starting today, so that's going to be pretty good. Other things that are of note, last night, the inaugural open of SCS, the Semi-Pro Cup Series, got rolling, and the South American rejects, who I'm calling it now, may be the next Sarvi, if you will. Remember the North American Rejects, that team that came out of nowhere, got the sponsorship with Na'Vi, did pretty well in the TI, and just sort of has turned into a legitimate pro team with a sponsor. I think that SAR is headed down the same road. I watched them play last night. It was strong. Their communication was epic. Their rotations were incredible. And their synergy, which is something that if you've seen my casting, you know I cannot speak highly enough about, was amazing. They just synergized perfectly, knew what the others were thinking, and just executed. And SAR took home the $100 prize and showed just what to expect from them as we go forward. They did beat Ban Earth Spirit out for that, so no slouches in that semi-pro scene. Also, the Canada Cup starts tonight. You can catch, I believe, the opening round of qualifiers over on HGTV with Kodal Guy, who will be bringing that to you. I know that I will be bringing you some qualifiers as well on Wednesday, along with Fridge Master, my stat man. So it should be some pretty good matches over at the Canada League. If you want to get into supporting the North-South American growing scene, these are the tournaments to support. So, oh, worth noting, I just got news from Fridge on the Twitch chat that right now Narvi are on the top of the North American Bounty Hunter series. So Narvi doing pretty well for themselves, and perhaps Sarvi will be joining them soon enough. So that is the get-go on the official Dota 2 forums on what news I have for you in that capacity today. And as you know, our show isn't just about Dota 2. It's mostly about Dota 2 because Dota 2 is the greatest game ever made, and I can say that because I've played games since Pong was popular, and I got my first Atari when I was 7, and I've been playing since then, and Dota 2 is one of the few games that has actually motivated me to do things like make content. It is what it is. So, Dota 2, the best game, but there are others, and we're going to talk about them right now. So, a big one, the big outside of Dota news that you probably have heard, and if you haven't, you should, is that ESL 1 in Cologne is going on, and the CSGO finals were massive. For CSGO, now I know what you're thinking before I say this number. Hey, Toffees, the championship for Dota got millions of viewers. Well, that is true. However, over 380,000 concurrent viewers tuned in to one CSGO channel to watch the finals. That means there's probably more, probably around 400,000 or 500,000 worldwide, if you're talking about languages, possibly more, to watch the playoffs, the championships. Big thing for ESL 1. The winner is, cover your ears if you don't want the spoiler, if you taped it or you're watching the replays, 3, 2, 1, Ninjas in Pajamas takes home the prize. They had a great game, won out the championships, had to burn past a couple of big teams, including, I believe, Fnatic and LDLC to get there. So NiP walked away $100,000 richer, and that is the big news in terms of that going on as far as esports is concerned. Other video game news, Gamescom happened on the 15th. That was after the last broadcast. So what I put together is what I could tell from a couple couple of different places, roughly the top games that appeared at Gamescom. So games that you can look for in the future. Those games are going to be, and I'll list them as we go down. Bloodborne is coming out, and that's going to be a big game from the developers of Dark Souls that looks very, very pretty. Quantum Break is another one that should be very strong coming out of the Microsoft groupings. Dead Island 2 is going to be big. Mortal Kombat 10, which, by the way, I was around for Mortal Kombat 1, so great game originally, and it just keeps on going. But Mortal Kombat looks good, not just like your classic reboot, but like they're really doing the game to its own credit. Until Dawn is going to be big. It looks like they're going to have a lot of acting and voice acting in it, border Hollywood level of stuff. So that should be pretty interesting as an actor. I'm excited about hearing that. It is just for PS4. I own an Xbone, so we'll see how that plays out. Forza Horizon 2 looks incredibly good. Battlefield Hardline, when aren't the Battlefield games strong? But they're focusing on good story this time around. Let's see what else we got. Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to be pretty strong. We're going to have the new Assassin's Creed Unity. A lot of Assassin's Creed games coming out, by the way. FIFA 15 is going to be coming out, and I have to conclude it because I love the FIFA series. Far Cry 4 is going to be strong because Far Cry has always been a great series. And let's see. Last but not least, the Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Another fun one. I'm looking forward to it. Those are two games, those last two franchises that I just enjoy and have enjoyed for a long time. And I'm excited to see them putting out more content in the upcoming year. So those are the games that I walked away from GameCon thinking these are going to be some good ones. I really like the look of them. So that is where we're going with that. Also, other interesting game news that you may be interested in. If you are one of our European viewers and you like to play World of Warcraft, brace yourself because the sub fee is going up. That is right. In a world where games are now free and MMOs cost you nothing, the World of Warcraft has decided to increase its subscription prices, shattering the mold of expectation once again. So if you live in the UK region, expect to pay more for the next expansion. It's just the way it is, kids. Sorry, I got no control over it. That's what we got there. Games that you may want to watch today. Right now going on, Titan versus MVP is a very good one in the WEC. You can hop over there. They just wrapped up that first draft. Titan versus Click and Search will be following that. And then those are the big games for today. As far as Dota 2 Lounge was concerned, by the way, Titan does have an edge over MVP by 4%. And then if you want to bet on the late game today, Titan is favored 80% to 20 over CNS. Really, I don't think it's worth even trying to risk rares on CNS, as I don't see them coming out on the top of that in any way, shape, or form. So those are your gaming snippets for the day. And now we'll wrap up, as always, with the real world news, the things that you need to know so that you look smart in front of the boss, the teacher, or just the water cooler. Number one, Ferguson shooting. A preliminary autopsy reveals that Michael Brown, the young man who was killed by a police officer in Ferguson, was shot at least 6 times, including twice in the head. So this is going to cause a whole lot more trouble out there in Ferguson. The idea that it took 6 bullets and 2 in the head to do what needed to be done. That said, I don't believe that the autopsy showed any entry wounds in the back. Be that whatever that means, it is what it is. So that's something to keep an eye on. It could continue to cause a lot of trouble out there in Ferguson, where they have already had riots and looting, and has been a pretty big issue. Number 2, there's a battle for the Mosul Dam has continued. Kurdish forces fired mortars and explosives of extremist militants yesterday as the battle to retake a dam in northern Iraq rages on. Basically, ISIS took over the dam, and they got run off the first time. The second time they were able to capture it, and now U.S. warplanes have helped join the military groups from the Islamic State to try and get ISIS out of that dam, a big important dam in the area. So more escalating tensions, basically. Ukraine says its forces have made advances against pro-Russian rebels in the southeast part of the country. Ukrainian forces regain control of the strategic towns of, I'm not going to say them, but there's multiples, 3 of them, including but the crash site of Malaysia Air Flight 17, you may remember that from a couple of weeks ago, is still unsafe as there's fighting raging nearby. So lots more going on in the Ukraine crisis, Mid-Eastern conflict in terms of Gaza and Israel. There's a lull in the fighting, but the arguments still continue. So that entire area, that entire Middle East region, as well as heading over to the Ukraine, is just a tinderbox of sorts. We won't go too far into it. It is incredibly depressing, but at the end of the day, it's important that you know that there's some pretty big things going on out there in the world that we do need to keep an eye on. And the other one is also the Ebola outbreak. So a mob attacked a Liberian healthcare facility, sending Ebola patients fleeing and sparking fears of spreading. So basically, mobs are getting angry. They're starting to really kind of take it out on the populace. They've locked down borders into places like Liberia. It's killed over 1,000 people in West Africa. So the Ebola issue is real. WHO is working on it. It's just something also to be aware of. So lots of not happy news coming at you this Monday. But I feel like every time that we do Monday news updates, they tend to be a little bit depressing because the weekends are rough. So don't hold that against me. Hold it against the world we live in. That said, though, that's really all of the news that I have for you today, Dota and otherwise. I hope that you're a little bit smarter. I hope that you feel like you're better equipped to handle your day, because I feel like we had a great time together this morning. Remember, I'll be back on Wednesday with more of that. Follow me on Twitter at Toffees_Dota2 for updates on upcoming shows, matches, casts, all of that fun stuff. And make sure that whatever medium you are watching the show on, follow. Let us know how you feel about it. Give me some feedback. No guest today, so I'm running the solo show, which is nice and fast. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. Also, if you know someone who you think would make a great guest, tell them to get in touch. I'll do the interview the night before if they don't want to wake up first thing in the morning. But we'd love to have some more folks on here moving forward. That said, I don't have a lot else for you guys. I'm not going to cut straight to music because of the copyright rules or the new copyright stuff here on Twitch. So I will cut it and then come back with some music for those viewers who are watching us live on stream so that we can chat it up. Other than that, though, I want you guys to have a wonderful day, a pleasant tomorrow, and we'll see you back Wednesday for a fresh brew of Coffees with Toffees. So thanks for checking in, and as always, Toffees out.